Love. Now there's a word. The problem is it's just the one word, and we use it for the feelings that bring people together, for the bond between members of a family, for the relationships between friends. It's the go-to word when you need to justify all sorts of irrational behaviour, like spending thousands of pounds supporting a football team, I'm destroying their life and my own because I love them, so I just can't help myself. When Peter writes that love covers over a multitude of sins, this is most certainly not what he meant. Because we only have the one word for love, it's very easy for us to get mixed up in our loves, which is what has happened in the mind of the Christian who says to you, I think I'm backsliding because I don't seem to have the same feelings for God anymore. It's disastrous if we get ourselves all mixed up about what kind of love we're being called to practice, because what we're talking about here is really our whole life's business. It's as important as that. 3 things that we learn about love from Romans 13, verses 8 to 14. And the first is from verse 8. Love is an outstanding debt. He has been talking in this part of his letter about us needing to fulfill our obligations to society, to pay our taxes, uphold the law, honour the rulers. Now, our love is an obligation that arises from what God has done for us. As Jesus said to the 12, love each other as I have loved you. But it's different from these other kind of obligations. When we pay off our council tax bill, that's it. It's no longer outstanding against us. But we'll never be able to clear the debt to love. And that's an important point to make. Because, what is it that as I get older can sour my witness to Jesus, can make me grow stale in my ministry, less eager to find ways to serve Father in loving my neighbour? I was delighted when I first knew Jesus and I found things that I could do. What can take away that delight today? Well, it's the idea, isn't it, that all those years of following Jesus that are now behind me somehow lessen my obligation to go on loving. They don't. It's a debt that has to remain outstanding. And it had better do so in my mind, or I'll become exactly one of those saints whose departure comes eventually as a blessed relief. The second and third things that we learn about love are that it is the fulfillment of the law of God in the light of the coming of the kingdom of God. It's that serious. Let's take the second point first. The Bible talks about us as being saved in the past, the present and the future tense. We were saved at Calvary. One day when Jesus comes again, we will finally have been saved, and currently we are being saved. We are the world's early risers. For most of humanity still, life is life in darkness. It's night. They don't know that God's rule has begun in Jesus. One day, everybody will know for certain sure. But now, we know. Now, how can you tell? Well, if we fail to put aside the deeds of darkness, verse 12, of course you can't tell. But if you know that his kingdom has come, then you live under his rule. Let us, says Paul, behave decently. How else can we proclaim his kingdom come and coming? And that's what we do only when we love. Jesus was quite clear. What he was about was the fulfillment of the law, and not in any sense its abolition. You only have to take a look at the Sermon on the Mount. When we read how he contrasts between you have heard that it was said and but I tell you in Matthew 5, we can easily see how it is that Paul can say here in Romans 13:10 that love does no harm to its neighbour. Because someone who wants to read a command in God's law about not killing and think, oh, easy, box ticked, done that one, next. Well, yeah, they haven't killed, but with their hatred and slander, they are still harming. They can tell themselves that their obligation to the Almighty has been discharged. But Jesus points out, this commandment in the law of God is only fulfilled by the one who goes about actively reconciling themselves with their neighbours, and their neighbours with them. Only love does that. And doing that is an endless task that no one undertakes unless they feel they are under a serious obligation, which we are. So all those many and varied excuses that we all find to duck and dive the command to love as we have been loved, they are at best, aren't they, just talking about the wrong kind of love. Let's get it straight. Again, if you have been, thank you for listening.